My brothers and my sisters, there are moments in life when pain feels like the only language we understand, when the night stretches longer than it should, when the weight of our burdens becomes too heavy to carry, and when it seems like God Himself has gone silent. But I came to remind you today that your pain is not pointless. Your suffering is not wasted. God's plan is bigger than your pain. What you are going through is not the end. It is the evidence that something divine is being formed inside you. The very thing that broke you may be the same thing that builds you. Sometimes we get caught up in asking God to remove the pain, but what if God is using the pain to reveal the plan? You see, God doesn't always deliver us from the fire. Sometimes He delivers us through it. The fire you are in is not designed to destroy you. It's designed to define you. The tears you shed are watering the seeds of your destiny. The heartbreak you feel is shaping the heart that will carry the blessing. God's plan is not limited by what hurts you. It's working through what hurts you. We often think God's plan should be smooth, easy, predictable. We think favor means no frustration, blessing means no burden, and purpose means no pain. But the truth is, pain has always been the birthplace of purpose. The cross came before the crown. The valley came before the victory. You cannot ask God to enlarge your territory and then complain when He stretches your soul. The stretching hurts, but it's making room for what's coming. The breaking feels unfair, but it's preparing you to carry something greater. When Joseph was thrown into the pit by his brothers, it looked like rejection. When he was sold into slavery, it looked like abandonment. When he was imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit, it looked like failure. But behind every painful moment, God was positioning him for purpose. What looked like betrayal was actually transportation to destiny. The same people who hurt you might be the ones God uses to push you closer to His plan. You can't see it yet because you're still in the middle of the story, but when God finishes, you'll look back and realize every wound was a part of His work. God's plan is not fragile. It can handle your pain. It can handle your questions, your doubt, your fear, your frustration. He's not intimidated by your tears. He's not surprised by your struggle. He's not discouraged when you fall apart. In fact, that's often where His best work begins. God does not build on pride. He builds on brokenness. When your strength runs out, His power steps in. When your vision fades, His light shines through. When you hit the end of yourself, that's where His plan begins to unfold in ways you never imagined. Some of you have been wondering why you had to lose certain people, why doors closed when you were so sure they would open. But maybe God had to remove certain things so you wouldn't settle for less than what He planned. Sometimes the blessing isn't what He gives, it's what He takes away. The pain of losing something temporary often makes space for something eternal. You might have thought that relationship was your future, but God knew it would have hindered your destiny. You thought that opportunity was your breakthrough, but God knew it wasn't big enough for where He's taking you. His plan was always bigger than your perspective. It's easy to praise God when life makes sense, but the real test of faith comes when nothing adds up. Can you still trust Him when it hurts? Can you still worship when the miracle hasn't come? Can you still believe when you can't see the plan? Because faith is not proven in comfort, it's proven in crisis. God is not looking for people who only praise Him on the mountain. He's looking for those who can still lift their hands in the valley. That's where character is forged, where trust is tested, and where destiny begins to take shape. There's a reason why diamonds are formed under pressure, why gold is purified by fire, and why seeds grow in the dark. The process is painful, but the outcome is priceless. You might feel like you're buried right now, but you're not buried, you're planted. And when the right season comes, what God planted in you will begin to break through the surface. The soil of pain produces the fruit of purpose. Every hardship, every heartbreak, every hidden season is building something within you that will outlast the storm. Sometimes we ask God to fix what's broken, but He wants to use what's broken. He takes shattered pieces and turns them into stories of strength. He takes what the enemy meant for evil and turns it into evidence of His goodness. If you've ever been through pain and survived, that means purpose is still alive in you. The very thing that tried to destroy you has no power over what God designed. You are not the product of your pain. You are the proof of God's promise. If you're walking through a storm right now, I want you to understand that God is still in control. The storm doesn't mean He left you. It means He's teaching you to stand. The pain doesn't mean He's forgotten you. It means He's forming you. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. God's plan for you is too big to be rushed, too powerful to be stopped, and too intentional to be wasted. You may not understand it now, but every trial is teaching you something that comfort never could. You will never know the strength of your faith until it's tested by fire. You will never see the depth of your trust until it's stretched by struggle. And you will never experience the fullness of God's plan until you walk through the pain that comes with purpose. Because when it's all said and done, the pain you felt will become the platform you stand on. The test you endured will become the testimony you share. And the wound you thought would break you will become the window through which His glory shines. There are moments in life when you look around and wonder if God has forgotten you. You've prayed, you've waited, you've believed, and still nothing seems to move. The door remains closed, the promise seems distant, and the silence feels unbearable. But what if I told you that the delay you're experiencing is not a denial from God, it's a divine preparation? God's timing is not always our timing, but His timing is always perfect. When it feels like nothing is happening, something is happening. When it seems like heaven is silent, heaven is working behind the scenes. God is not withholding what you asked for. He's preparing you to handle what you prayed for. Sometimes God delays the blessing because the blessing would crush you if it came too soon. He's not punishing you. He's protecting you. He's developing the strength, patience, and maturity you'll need to sustain the weight of His plan. You see, an unprepared blessing can become a burden. A rushed destiny can become a disaster. God is not in the business of giving you something that will destroy you. He's in the business of building you until you can carry it. Every delay is a classroom where God teaches you dependence, endurance, and faith. Think about Abraham. God promised him descendants as numerous as the stars, yet the man waited 25 years for Isaac. 25 years of wondering, of hoping, of asking when. But Abraham learned something in that waiting. He learned to trust the promise even when he couldn't see the proof. Waiting seasons reveal what you truly believe. They show whether your faith is in the outcome or in the one who holds the outcome. Abraham's delay was not God's denial. It was the stage where his faith was refined until he was ready to receive what was promised. Moses had to wait 40 years in the wilderness before leading Israel out of Egypt. Joseph waited 13 years from the pit to the palace. David was anointed king but had to wait years before he ever sat on the throne. Even Jesus waited 30 years before performing his first miracle. Every one of them had a promise, and every one of them had to wait. The delay was never wasted. It was necessary. God used the waiting to prepare their hearts, shape their character, and strengthen their faith so that when the promise arrived, they would be ready to carry it with purpose. But we, as human beings, hate to wait. We want answers now. We want breakthrough now. We want healing now. We live in a world of instant results and quick fixes, but God does not operate on our schedule. He operates on His because what He's building in you takes time. You can't microwave maturity. You can't rush revelation. God doesn't want to give you something temporary. He wants to give you something eternal. So when he delays, it's not because he's ignoring you, it's because he's investing in you. The delay is where God does his deepest work. When everything slows down and you can't control the outcome, that's when you learn how to lean on him. That's when you stop trying to fix everything yourself and start trusting the one who never fails. The waiting season is not a wasted season. It's a womb where your destiny is developing. The pain, the silence, the stillness, they are all signs that something is being birthed in you. And when the time is right, when the preparation is complete, when your spirit is aligned with his will, the door will open so naturally you'll realize it was never closed. It was just waiting for you to be ready. There's a story in John chapter 11 about Lazarus. When Jesus heard that Lazarus was sick, he didn't rush to heal him. He waited, and in that waiting, Lazarus died. From the outside, it looked like Jesus was late. But Jesus was not late. He was intentional, because if he had shown up while Lazarus was sick, he would have been known as a healer. But by showing up after Lazarus died, he revealed himself as the resurrection and the life. The delay gave God the opportunity to display a greater glory. What you see as a delay may actually be God setting the stage for something far greater than you asked for. You may feel like everything around you is standing still, but the truth is God is aligning things you can't see. He's arranging people, opportunities, and resources to come together at the appointed time. You don't have to push the door open. When it's your time, it will open by itself. God's delays are strategic. He's waiting for everything to align perfectly so that when the blessing comes, it will fit without force. If it hasn't happened yet, it's because it's not supposed to happen yet. God is still writing the story, and every chapter has its divine purpose. We often pray for the blessing, but forget that blessings require capacity. Waiting increases your capacity. It stretches your faith, strengthens your patience, and refines your focus. Without waiting, you wouldn't know how to handle the weight of what's coming. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not that God changes your situation, but that he changes you in the middle of it. The delay becomes a refining fire that burns away pride, doubt, and fear until only pure faith remains. When God delays, he's not saying no, he's saying grow. He's giving you time to learn what you need to sustain what you're asking for. If he gave it too soon, you might waste it. If he gave it too early, you might walk away from it. God's plan is about timing as much as it is about promise. Every moment of waiting is shaping you into the person who can receive without breaking, who can lead without losing focus, who can carry the weight of his purpose without compromise. Waiting teaches you to stop chasing control and start chasing his presence. Because when you learn to trust him in the waiting, you discover a peace that doesn't depend on outcomes. You stop measuring his goodness by your circumstances and start resting in his unchanging character. You realize that the God who promised is also the God who will perform it in his way, in his time, and for his glory. Sometimes you'll see people around you succeeding while you're still waiting, and it will make you question yourself. But don't compare your timeline to someone else's. Their chapter 5 might look different because your story was designed for a different purpose. God is not making you wait because he loves you less. He's making you wait because he's preparing something greater. He knows exactly when to release it. When it's your time, no devil in hell can stop it. When it's your season, everything will start to move in divine order, and in that moment, you'll realize that the delay was not wasted time. It was divine time. The years you thought were lost were the very years that made you ready. The prayers that seemed unanswered were the very prayers shaping your spirit. The silence that felt like abandonment was actually God's whisper saying, "I'm not done yet." You will look back one day and understand that every waiting season was a season of growth. Every delay was a doorway to destiny, and every unanswered prayer was an invitation to deeper trust.